bring everything together that we've talked about over the past 2 days. And so I'm really excited to bring Jenni Danai up here. As I mentioned earlier, she's our Director of Programs, but I just want to thank her as well because she really led the effort to pull off our Advocacy Summit this weekend. So thank you. And she's now going to lead a discussion with you all about what's next. What are we going to do next?
Okay, I'm just going to maybe take this. No? Okay, got it. Okay, thank you everyone. This was so great, such great discussions today. I know I even learned so much, and I hope you all did too. I first want to say, in your packets, in your bags, in the folders, there's an evaluation, so I hope that you will take the time to fill it out, whether it's today or I'm going to send an online link as well that you can fill out the evaluation. There's also an action plan where you can really kind of, some of you were in our session earlier talking about action plans, but where you can take the time to write down what you want to do, you know, your ideas from this weekend and things that you want to see happen, but we know that you can't do that alone, so we're here to help you too with resources and whatever you need to make that happen. So I just wanted to hear from a couple of you, what have you guys learned today? What were big things that stood out to you that you want to share? Anyone? Screening.
Cheaper screening.
Cheaper screening.
Make lung cancer screening like mammograms.
Yeah. Emily?
How with Dr. Schiller's presentation, the difference between breast versus lung created greater stigma than smoking versus non-smoking.
That's interesting. Yeah. Anything else? I just learned about self-care, which I thought was so cool, that even all of you survivors, we're going to send out the handouts as well because it is for everyone. You know, how to manage stress, how to, we got action plans, and, you know, just making a plan for one thing that you're going to change for next week, things that you're going to do to take care of yourself. So that's definitely for survivors and caregivers alike. Does anyone want to share? Does anybody have any, you know, thought of what they're going to do with all this information that they've learned this weekend?
Yes, I'm going to reach out, as I told most of the survivors, to them, to get them involved in telling their story. I want to increase participation, as you may well understand. So I told them that I would be contacting you for their contact information so I could sign them up. And I've already talked to some of them who are working on their spills.
Well, good, and that's something that we can help you all with. As we've heard several times today, even just sharing your story, that's how we're going to break the stigma. All of you have a story to tell, and it will mean something to somebody, and it will help us put a face with lung cancer and to help break that stigma. So that's really important. Anyone else want to share? We can move on. These are, I just want to share with you some ways to get involved, some ways to advocate. Like Ms. Shirley said, sharing your story is so important, and you know, I'd like to think it's not that difficult to do, though I know sometimes writing down your story is difficult, but we can also help you by just a simple phone call. You tell us your story over the phone, we can help write it down for you. So we want to make it as easy as possible. Educating others, taking what you learned about screening and letting other people know that you think are at risk. Hosting an event, so you know, you might want to go back to your hometown and do a fundraiser or even just an educational event. Change policy. So I think Tama might mention a little bit about legislative action that we can take. Volunteer and share your story. So we need you, kind of like I mentioned last night, but we all have a purpose in this fight and we all can help to change these statistics and to defeat the stigma. So I'm just going to run through really quickly some volunteer opportunities that we have at the Lung Cancer Initiative. Really, whatever your skill set is, we can put it to good use for lung cancer. So just, even if it's not on this list up here, if there's something that you're good at or just something that you really want to do, just come talk to any of us and we will help you make that happen. But anything from coming into the office and writing acknowledgement letters, answering phones, I mean, you name it, we could use the help doing it. Then there's things like our events, the 5Ks, golf tournaments. We can always use help on the committees planning it or even the day of the event as well. And I will just say Sandy Odler back there, she is our director of events, and so she would be your go-to person for that. And then programs that we do, health fairs, presentations. We also have other committees that you can be a part of. And, you know, another way is our educational materials. So we have free educational materials. You've seen some of them. We just want to get those in the hands of people that need them, who need to read the information. So they're all free. You can take, you know, come to our office. We'll give you stacks of information that you can give out to doctor's offices, to your church, wherever you think needs them. Okay, now I'm just going to have a couple of our volunteer advocates come up and tell you really quickly just why they got involved, how they got involved, and share their story. As she comes into the room now, Alat Spiller.
Okay, this sounds so official. Can you guys hear me if I don't use this? No. Okay. First, I want to thank everybody for coming. This is just really awesome with the turnout and everything, and I hope that you were able to learn some stuff. And again, go back and tell everybody what you learned, and you know, feel like if you have any questions, come and ask us. I started this. I was telling someone out there. I started 7 years ago. I used to work for Dr. Garza at the Duke Raleigh Cancer Center. I was her scheduler for patients. That's how I met. God, I can't even talk. That's how I met Angela and her great husband. So I moved here from Kansas, and I basically didn't know anybody. It was just me and my senior high school son. And Dr. Garza saw me one day, and she was like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "I'm going to my car to eat lunch." And you know, we started talking and things like that, and she was like, "Well, you know, what do you do when you go home?" And I was like, "Nothing." So she introduced me. At that time, it was Heather, and she was like, "Call her, get involved. You know, we have this great organization." And of course, I love Dr. Garza. You know, I'd probably, you know, walk on water for her. So I went, and that is how I started volunteering. So that first year that I started out with the 5K race. And I have lots of pictures there. Sometimes I don't even know they're taking my picture. I started out with the 5K race, and then after that, I started out with the gala, and I just continued. So it's kind of addictive. Once you get in there, like, you can't get out. It's just like, I want to get out, but I can't. So 7 years later, here I am. Again, it's just really great. Like, and now I work at Biologics by McKesson, and they do a lot of stuff with different organizations. So I have gotten my organization in there, and so when they're like, "Oh, what are we going to do?" Because they do a lot of donating and stuff like that, and they also do a lot of programs. So check with your work, because they do a lot of matching programs. And then I also have this program at work that to where if I volunteer a lot of hours, so my hours here, I also give back because they match that and they send them a check. So it's really good, like, to go and talk at your work about stuff and get them involved. And because the more people that we can get, even if you can just spend 1 hour or 2 hours, you know, fill in envelopes or, you know, just handing out stuff. The health fairs, I've done a lot of those, and people just aren't aware. So any hours, minutes that you guys can give is really great. Like, I really enjoy volunteering. I never thought that I would enjoy volunteering this much, but it is so awesome. These guys are very good people to work with, and you know, there's always, you know, somebody that you can just go talk to if you just want to be like, "Hey, you know, how do I get involved more, or what can can I do? And you meet a lot of great people. I don't even know what else to say. Do you guys have any questions? Or, I mean, I could just say that they're, super awesome all day long. But do you have any questions or anything that I can answer about being a volunteer or how to get involved or anything like that? What's it? All right, well, thank you guys so much for coming today. And again, just go to work and, go to your neighborhoods and say, hey, I have this great organization, just let's get some more information. Email them, call them, and, even your high school kids or, just if you go to like a card group or something, say, hey, you want to go with me and volunteer for a couple of hours, and then we'll supplement. Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed the day.
And I will say, that is on every committee. She volunteers for every single thing we do, so we really love her. Emily, you are up next. I know, I'm not even going to say anything about them because they're going to share their story.
Good afternoon. Everybody still hanging in there? All good? So my name is Emily Parks, and as you can see, I'm on the board of directors for the Lung Cancer Initiative. But my father was diagnosed with lung cancer on September 5th of 2008. If you remember, September 5th of 2008 was the very first day of the Stand Up to Cancer annual event. And my analytical mind heard this lung cancer diagnosis from my dad and immediately thought, what does that mean? What is this? Like, you hear about so many other diseases, and I just didn't ever hear anything about lung cancer. So I immediately went online, started researching, watched the Stand Up to Cancer show, and Dad's like, look, Emily, they're talking about lung cancer being the leading cancer killer, and we need to do something. And he made a donation, and I thought, you know what? He's right. The facts speak for themselves that we need to change this, and we can't change it unless we talk about it, unless we get involved, unless we actually, like Dr. Schiller said, get mad and do something. So I got mad and I started doing something. And I stepped in that first year in 2008 to do some fundraising, and then all of a sudden in 2009 I was volunteering on committees, and then next thing I knew in 2013 I was on the board, and I don't know another way to get mad and do something but to get engaged and to speak up. One thing most people know about me is that I've never met a question that I thought of that I was not going to ask. And you miss 100% of the shots you don't attempt. So for me, it's about getting out there, sharing my story, but raising awareness. Most people don't realize that if you have lungs, you can get lung cancer. So it's a mantra for me. If you have lungs, pay attention to your body because you could have symptoms come up that you need to address, period. And so the more I share that, the more I can get more people on board, get more people engaged, and the more of us that are involved, the greater impact we can have. Then shortly after I joined the board of directors, my maternal great aunt started having this pain in her arm, and was treated for everything from a pulled muscle to slept wrong to all these different things. And it took quite a while before she was diagnosed with lung cancer. And I stay engaged because of experiences like that, where I need to keep learning, I need to keep sharing stories, and I also need to be excited about all the advancements and the new people getting engaged with the process to keep the momentum going and to keep this boat headed in the right direction with growing enthusiasm and growing effort and impact. So my advice to you is take baby steps, because those baby steps will grow to be lunges, and those lunges grow to be jumping off buildings and wonderful things like that make our impact have huge ripples and saving more and more lives. You never know the answer to the question of how that person you're talking to can help you and our cause unless you share your story and you ask them how they can help.
And just a plug for the Greensboro Lunch Forward, it is on November 2nd. Emily heads that up. And then Tama. They're great pictures. I picked them all myself. And actually, I really did strategically pick all the pictures for all of these because these are really different ways people have been involved with us. And so you might not get it yet, but she's very involved with Santa and the 5K and the gala, and shopping and drinking wine. There's lots of ways to get involved.
Okay, I'm Tama Hargraves. I will soon be a 13-year lung cancer survivor of stage 3. I've been with this group since the very beginning, and they've been very supportive to me, and I've always tried to give back to them. I was on the board for a while, and now I'm a patient lead navigator at UNC with their thoracic oncology as a volunteer. One of the other things that I've done is tried to reach out a little bit beyond our own organization. So I have actually participated in some national conferences with Longevity. I'm sure some of you have heard of that group. And also there's a new group out there that's just merged between two other ones. It's called GoTo for Lung Cancer, GoTo Foundation for Lung Cancer. Now, I'm not telling you to give them their money because you don't need to give them money, give our money, the money to us. But they're doing some things nationally that I think it would be good if, and it's very easy things that you can do online. And so I had a chance to go to a longevity conference a few years ago up in DC. You meet a lot of other survivors from all over the country. They have a mentoring program. And a lot of people like that, like going to those kind of conferences. When I came out of that conference, is I came back and said, I am so glad we have our own state organization. So that was one thing. I didn't feel I needed to expand on that. Just last month, I went up to the GoTo Advocacy Summit in DC, where they train you to go speak to your legislators from all over the country. So like California had this huge delegation, Georgia had this huge delegation, and then they train you and they assign you to go and speak to your legislators. Now you never speak to the legislators because, they weren't there. But you spoke to their legislative assistants who are usually the healthcare people. And in this particular case, we were asking for two things. One was for them to restore the funding that came through the DoD budget, which we had $20 million. And every year, they took a little bit away from us. So #1 cancer killer, and they take that money away from us and give it to somebody else. So the one thing we were asking is please encourage the legislator to give us our money back in the budget. I can't tell you if that happened or not. The other thing, and this is something you can really get involved in very easily, there is a Senate and House bill called, I'm trying to see the numbers on it, but it is in particular regarding women with lung cancer, and it's a funding for research, but they're actually not asking for money, they're just asking to get this started for research. And it is, this print is so small, Senate Bill S1107, and then House Bill, I think that's 2232, I think. But if you go onto the GoTo Foundation website and just get their information, get on their newsletter, they send these things out, and so you can immediately, they'll connect you with your legislator, and you can send something and say, I support this, I want you all to pass this. The more the better. The fact that we went and spoke to the legislators, we ended up getting a whole lot more of them to co-sponsor the bill. I don't know what's happened there, and you know how Congress is. A lot of things aren't getting passed right now. But anyway, these are the kinds of things that I think are good for us to be doing. And just the other thing is, then you bring it back home and you can share it. I just enjoy meeting other people, but as I said, I felt very blessed knowing that we are one of the few places that has their own state organization, and that makes a huge difference to me. So anything you can do like that, I encourage you to do it, and I'd be happy if you want to get my email, and I can pass this information because I can't read it very well. So, any questions?
Thank you. Well, that is it for the summit this year, but that is not it for all of you and for all of us, because we will still be in contact. Really reach out to any of us. Any staff member will help you, and we can work together to really end this stigma and, you know, increase the statistics and just help you personally. Like Cindy sometimes says, we're like a family, and we really are. And so please feel free to reach out to us anytime. Fill out your evaluation, your action plan, either now or you can fill it out via email, and that's fine too. Thank you all so much for coming.